Okay, we're doing dividing rational expressions. This is section 7.4. Let's get started. All right, we're going to do a little review here first. So I want you to get your whiteboard out, and I want you to do the problem that comes up, and it's going to be kind of a race. So on your marks, get set, go. If you need to pause this video, go ahead and do it while you're finished. What we're going to do here now is we're going to do this one. And I want you to remember something. This KFC that I have up here on the top means keep, flip, change. So if you didn't know how to do this because you forgot how to divide fractions, we're going to keep the first one. Keep it as 2/3. We're going to flip the 6/5. That means to do the reciprocal. And we're going to change the divide to a multiply. We're going to divide by the reciprocal. Multiply by the reciprocal. When we do that, I've noticed that these two can reduce. I can have a 1 there and a 2 there, and then we go straight across. After that, we have 4 over straight across here will be 1 times 5, which will be 5 4/5 is the answer. The reason I'm having you review this is because we're now going to do this with rational expressions or fractions with variables. We're going to still keep, flip, and change like before. There are note sheets for this lesson this time. You should have them printed. If you don't, go ahead and pause the video and get that. You're going to take really good notes. I want to encourage you to write down everything I write so that you have something to go by when it's time to do your homework. We're going to do examples 1 through 4, and they're going to get higher as we go along. Let's get started. Here's the first one that should be on your page. Right here is the first one. We're going to do it together. We're going to keep, flip, and change. We're going to keep this one the way it is. Go ahead and write this down with me. 6n squared over 6n to the 4th. We're going to flip this one. So instead of 6 over 9n, we're going to have 9n over 6. We just flip the top with the bottom, or the numerator with the denominator. And we're going to change the divide to a multiply. We keep, flip, change. Then I'm going to reduce as we go along. I'm going to reduce these 6's. You could also have reduced the 6's up top and bottom. Doesn't really matter. And I noticed that we have a 6 and a 9 there, and I can take 3 out of each of them. When I do that, there'll be 2 there and 3 there. I'm going to start writing just my numbers now. On the numerator, I'll have 3, and my denominator, I'll have a 2. But my n's, I have n to the second power and n to the first power, which makes a total of n. For my n's, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to have n to the third over this n to the fourth. And those will reduce. When I do that, I subtract my exponents. And since there's more on the bottom, I will have leftovers, and I'll have 1 on the bottom. 2 n on the bottom, which makes 3 over 2n. Let's do the next one, and it gets a little bit bigger as we go along. I'm going to do the keep, flip, and change again. We're going to keep the leftmost one. So I'm going to write 9n over n minus 4 over 7. I'm going to flip. I'll flip this one, the leftmost one. That's 9n on the bottom over n plus 9. And the numerator will be flipped, will be n plus 9. I'm going to change now the division to a multiply. And then I'm going to start reducing. I can reduce the 9 and the 9, the n and the n. Be very, very, very careful. You cannot flip or cancel these 9s. Remember, in the past we talked about it. You can only cancel factors, and this 9 and this 9 are both being added. That makes them sums. But we can reduce the whole thing, the n plus 9, because that is a full factor. And the only thing we're left with is right here, this n minus 4 over 7. So we will have n minus 4 over 7. Let's now move on to number 3 and 4. They're getting a little larger, but the same concept of keep, flip, change for today is the same. I'm going to keep this one. We'll have x plus 6 over x squared plus 11x plus 24. But if you would like to factor that one right now instead of rewriting it, we could do that because we're going to factor it to see what cancels anyway. So we could just factor it right now. We're keeping it. We're going to just rewrite it in a different way. And so I'm going to have an x and an x because of that. I'm going to have a positive and a positive because of both these positives. And then we have to ask ourselves, what makes 24 when I multiply and adds to be 11? And that happens to be 8 and 3. And they're both positive. We're going to now, we just did the keep. We're going to flip. We're going to flip this here. The x minus 9 goes right here on the denominator, or x minus 9. And then this one, we could factor right now and put it in the numerator if we'd like. Don't forget to keep the change. That's the multiply right here. And let's see what we got here. We got x and x because of the x squared. Ooh, we got a negative, so we have opposites, negative and a positive. And we ask ourselves, what multiplies to be 27? That subtracts this time to make a negative 6. And that's 9 and 3. And the 9 has to be negative so that we can have a negative 6 and 3. Okay, so let's start canceling now. We can cancel top and bottom, the full x plus 3 and the full x plus 3, the full x minus 9 and x minus 9. I color-coded those. And this is what I have left over, x plus 6 over x minus 8. You don't have to write the parentheses if you don't desire to. There's the answer for number 3. Let's do number 4. Number 4, we're going to keep the concept of the keep, flip, change, but we don't have a denominator on that one. So there's an invisible 1, and that's not a problem. Make sure that if you're flipping and you don't have a denominator, you have the 1 with it so it can flip. So I'm going to keep my x minus 8. I'm going to change the divide to a multiply, and I'm going to flip. My 6x goes here. And I can just start factoring right now. I will have x and x. That negative indicates we're going to have opposite signs. And what multiplies to make negative 72, but adds to make positive 1. And that's 9 and 8. And I'm going to need a positive 9 and a negative 8 so that it'll be a positive 1 when I do that. So I'm going to start canceling. I will have the negative 8's right there, and I'll be left with just 6x over x plus 9. You could write the parentheses if you desire, but you don't need to. We have done our 4 examples. You have now learned to divide rational expressions. I hope this has been helpful. See you next time.